Today, a rotten tooth means a dentist appointment, a clean room, a chair, a trained professional. 5,000 years ago, there was none. One infected tooth could become deadly. Fever, swelling, and pain could take over. So what did ancient humans actually do? They used whatever knowledge their world allowed, and most of it came before antibiotics. Tooth pain could wake you from sleep. It rarely stayed inside one tiny tooth. First, bacteria damaged the hard outer enamel. Then the cavity moved deeper and deeper. Eventually, it reached the living nerve. That could create an abscess near the root. Your cheek could swell around the infection. From there, infection could spread into surrounding tissues. Pain was not just discomfort, it was information. There were no antibiotics waiting in a pharmacy, no emergency room, no guaranteed treatment, no backup. But here is the surprising part. Many hunter-gatherers had fewer cavities than farmers. Their teeth were often healthier, not perfect. They chewed roots, nuts, leaves, and meat. Their food was varied, fibrous, and sometimes tough. Then, farming changed what people ate daily. Grain became porridge, bread, and soft meals. Families could eat the same staple repeatedly. Agriculture changed more than landscapes and villages. Starchy food stuck around the teeth longer. Bacteria converted those leftovers into damaging acids. Variety became a narrower, heavier daily menu. A sack of grain could feed everyone, but it could also feed mouth bacteria. Ancient skeletons preserve some of this evidence. More carbohydrates often meant more cavities. Early farmers sometimes felt the consequence directly. Hunter-gatherers still suffered wear, cracks, and infection. Healthier does not mean painless or perfect. Sweet foods existed long before modern candy, but refined sugar made sweetness far more common. Sugar helped turn tooth decay into an epidemic. For much of history, sweetness was relatively rare. Mass sugar arrived much later in history. The road ran from grain to candy. Slowly, the mouth became a battlefield. A healthy tooth has several protective layers. Decay begins outside, then travels inward. Bacteria produce acids that weaken the enamel. When the nerve reacts, pain becomes electric. At night, there is nowhere to distract you. Cold water can trigger a damaged nerve. A deep infection may form an abscess. Swelling makes the face look completely different. Infection can reach the jaw and nearby tissues. Fever means the body is fighting back. A tooth is connected to the rest of you. Ancient bones sometimes preserve signs of infection, but evidence cannot tell us every detail. Families could only watch and worry. The patient might spend the night awake. There was no emergency room to call. Someone first had to look inside. That person might be a healer. They used bark, leaves, seeds, and roots. Willow bark was one traditional pain remedy. Healers ground plants into simple preparations. Honey or resin could coat irritated tissue. Some cultures used drinks to dull awareness. Cool cloths could temporarily calm swelling. Heat, cold, rinses, and herbs all varied. None of these remedies guaranteed a cure. Some traditions even tried controlled heat. Eventually, humans made specialized dental tools. Forceps could grip a damaged tooth. When saving failed, the choice was extraction. Helpers held the patient steady during treatment. Modern dental anesthesia did not exist yet. The procedure was frightening, painful, and risky, but removing the source could bring relief. Then archaeologists found something extraordinary. At Mehrgar, drilled teeth appeared in ancient remains. This was thousands of years before dentistry. The tools were small, sharp pieces of flint someone deliberately worked into the tooth. There was no chair, lamp, or suction, just a patient, a tool, and courage. Several molars show round, drilled openings. Were these the world's first dental drills? The evidence suggests deliberate dental intervention. It may have removed damaged material or pain. Imagine holding still while stone touches enamel. A tiny opening could mean enormous pain. Archaeologists study jaws to reconstruct that moment. The drilled hole did not look accidental. Its exact purpose remains debated by researchers, but experimentation clearly began very early. Stone tools eventually became bronze and iron. The patient may have felt temporary relief. Humanity was already trying to repair teeth, but nobody understood bacteria or microscopic infection. In Mesopotamia, another explanation became famous. Ancient texts described a creature inside teeth. They called it the toothworm. The imagined worm supposedly gnawed from within. Pain became proof that the worm was active. Healers sometimes used smoke, herbs, or rituals. A bowl of burning plants became medicine. The goal was simple: drive the worm out. Today, we would call the culprit bacteria. Wrong explanation, absolutely real suffering. Patients still needed hope during the pain. Clay tablets recorded remedies and beliefs. This idea survived across many centuries. People needed a story for invisible damage. Then Egyptian medicine added new experiments. Egyptian healers examined faces, mouths, and swelling. Papyrus texts collected practical medical knowledge. A painful tooth could demand immediate attention. Remedies included plants, honey, oils, and resins. Some ancient repairs used thin metal wire. Wire could stabilize loose neighboring teeth. This was repair, not modern dentistry. Artisans sometimes shaped possible replacement teeth. Bone, ivory, or other materials could help. The goal was replacing what had disappeared. Even a rough repair could change appearance. Ancient medicine had surprisingly specialized tools. It was practical, experimental, and often dangerous. Greek physicians also confronted tooth pain. Their medical tradition described treatments and extraction. Bronze instruments became sharper and more precise. A tooth puller examined the patient carefully. When preservation failed, extraction remained the answer. Roman medicine organized tools into portable kits. Forceps, hooks, probes, and jars traveled together. Physicians treated teeth as part of medicine. The central question was simple: pull or preserve. Better tools did not eliminate fear, but they made deliberate treatment possible. Stone, bronze, and iron changed the options. In medieval towns, barbers also performed surgery. Barber surgeons cut hair and pulled teeth. Traveling tooth drawers worked in crowded markets. Patients sat on stools before curious strangers. Their instruments could look enormous and terrifying. Crowds watched as the procedure began. This was not a quiet dental office. The tooth puller prepared tools, cloth, and herbs. Patients might drink alcohol or herbal mixtures. Then, the forceps went into position. Sometimes the tooth came out successfully. Pain could be followed by immediate relief, but infection, fractures, and complications remained possible. Many people combined medicine with prayer. Science and superstition often lived together. Eventually, dentistry became its own profession. Books began organizing dental surgery systematically. Chairs, instruments, and methods slowly improved. But one problem still dominated everything. Could anyone stop the pain? In the 19th century, the answer changed. Nitrous oxide entered dental experiments around 1844. Patients could become calmer before treatment. Some procedures became possible without violent struggle. Ether followed in the middle of that decade. Public anesthesia demonstrations changed surgical expectations. Anesthesia transformed what doctors could attempt. Dental treatment became calmer and more controlled. Local numbing changed the experience again. Numb does not mean completely unconscious. Modern clinics look nothing like ancient caves. A tiny injection can silence a nerve. The patient remains awake, but far less afraid. Inside the tooth, pain signals are blocked. Pain finally gained an off switch. 19th century drills were powered by feet. A rotating bit could remove damaged enamel. Electricity made dental drills faster and steadier. Technology kept shrinking the dentist's instruments. Then X-rays revealed hidden problems. Dentists could finally see beneath the surface. A cavity could be found before disaster. Small holes could be cleaned and filled. A filling replaced the space decay created. The new goal was simple: keep the tooth. Antibiotics added another powerful layer of protection. Medicine could fight infections beyond the tooth. An infection no longer had to keep spreading. The long timeline suddenly accelerated. Root canals could remove infected inner tissue. The tooth could remain inside the mouth, clean, seal, restore, and protect it. Dentistry became teamwork, not emergency improvisation. Prevention began with a simple toothbrush. Brushing removes food before bacteria use it. Floss reaches places a brush cannot. Prevention is the quietest dental revolution. Compare that with someone beside a fire. Today, treatment can happen before catastrophe. You do not need to wait for unbearable pain. You can schedule help before the tooth becomes dangerous. A healthy smile is usually built gradually. It rests on thousands of years of experiments. Every era had a different answer, but every era faced the same problem. Same tooth, completely different world. Ancient people endured pain without understanding infection. Modern patients inherit their accumulated knowledge. A dentist is not a punishment. A good dentist is a rescue team. This chair represents centuries of survival. Behind every tool is an earlier attempt. Behind every treatment is somebody's pain. They could not always stop the infection. You can often stop it much earlier. Knowledge traveled from healer to healer. Tools changed hands across many generations. Every improvement protected another mouth from pain. Thousands of years led to this room. From flint drilling to modern prevention, you leave the clinic with more than relief. You carry a technology ancestors never had. A small tooth can reveal enormous history. No dentist was once a terrifying reality. Now, ignoring pain is a choice. Do not wait until the pain owns you. Let a dentist see what you cannot. Protect the teeth you still have. Tooth pain has history, not your future. Ancient humans had pain. You have options.